Yes, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We've got back to the normal Decker, as you can see. We're no longer behind a white wall. We managed to escape the interrogation room, being held captive by the good old Cypriot police. Nah, I'm joking to you guys. It was just a white wall. Nonetheless, what we going in with today, guys? Well, we start the trading week off with a little bit of a calm week, to say the least. Trump ain't really saying anything that could be rocking the markets, but we've had some news about Apple saying they're going to be committing quite a substantial amount of investment into the US, because that's what Trump wants. He wants people in the US to invest in the US. If you are from the US and what have you, and any other countries that want to get involved, they're going to be paying tariffs anyways. Besides that, we got a very interesting week, guys. It's NVIDIA news call. So they're going to be declaring their earnings, and some information's coming out where they think that it might actually be done. AI could be done, which would pretty much send everything to the downside. Shoe bag, done, finito. But in great news, Strategy is actually buying more Bitcoin. Well, actually, let's just tell a lie. You guys are paying for them to buy the Bitcoin. They just authorized convertible bonds, 2 billion. Well, we're going to be talking about that very shortly and look at Strategy's share price in today's live. But other than that, we're going to dive into what's going on with Bitcoin. It's taken a little bit of a tumble to the downside. It seems to be basing out. I'm seeing a lot of accumulation in Bitcoin. Problem is, it is for the short term. So will we see Bitcoin make a nice move up, or is it going to come down? Who knows? But looking at the NASDAQ right now, it's been trading upwards for a little bit. Now it's pulling back ever so slightly. Happy days for the NASDAQ. But let's get with the program, guys. It's good to be back. Better microphone. I mean, the microphone was all right before, but never mind. Much more better decor, so it's easy to work with, and we can chop and change. How about that? Which leads me to this. So US futures are actually pointed to a bounce from Friday's slump. And I said this earlier on today. I believe that this drop to the downside could be on the idea that NVIDIA is going to be actually doing really well with its news call. I mean, they just keep buying this stock and they don't bloody stop with it, okay? And whenever it's holding out, it's just a lot of accumulation happening. Now, with that being said, we have had the actual German federal elections coming into play. It doesn't look like there's not that much enthusiasm as according to his... Oh, is he talking? Is he talking right now? This is what I mean about Trump, man. He just keeps on just popping up as and when. But going into it all, let's have a look at what's going on in the marketplace. What news is hitting the markets, and I'm going to be getting you guys prepared for the start of the week, because we do have a week filled with information, but nothing too concerning, to say the least. If I get rid of the actual amber folders and look at red folders, it is a quiet week, to say the least. So this week will be good for trading. However, after Wednesday, then you'll get a good chance to really know where we are with everything, because that's the day that NVIDIA declares its earnings announcements. Going into Wednesday at the close, NVIDIA will be declaring its earnings per share for investors. Now, when we get into that very shortly, guys, you're probably going to see NASDAQ moving up and down, but by Wednesday night, you'll probably see NASDAQ making a significant move, because psychologically, if NVIDIA does come through with its earnings call, then it's going to be revealing to investors where we are with the actual AI story, which leads me over to this. Microsoft cancels leases for AI data centers. That's no good, because what does it really say to you? It says here that the company has pledged $80 billion towards computing capacity, and Wall Street is questioning AI demand over the long term. So in other words, it means that it's expensive to run AI. And that's where NVIDIA comes in with the monopoly, which could effectively mean that NVIDIA is going to be forced to actually reduce the costs of business of products, just so that it can keep up with the actual need that people have for AI. Because then if it secludes itself to being an expensive company and buying the product, only a few players are going to be able to get involved in it. I mean, you want the world companies to start playing your products. You don't just want Amazon. I mean, if you just had Amazon, then you're laughing, but Amazon's just going to be buying it once and then maintaining a relationship with you. Other than that, you're kind of limiting yourself. So that's going to be very interesting to see how Microsoft is going to be moving forward with this investment. But this investment right here, Trump manufacturing win, Apple to spend $500 billion in the US hiring 20,000 people. Now, layoffs. Let me explain something here. Look at this. This is the layoffs chart, which shows you the tech layoffs between 2024 and 2025. Now, over here, we are in the quarter of 2025, first quarter, and you've got February, which shows that we've seen employees laid off at 11,329 and companies at 30. So that means 30 companies with layoffs, and of course, the actual layoffs numbers themselves. Now, whether this is true or not, it's a different story, but it's showing you that for a long time, we haven't seen that many layoffs. The last big layoff was in August 2024. Then, of course, now we've got February with a big spike in layoffs. So that's a little bit of a cause for concern. Going into this week, we know that we've got the unemployment claims data coming out, and that is being tipped to come in higher. And it did come in higher last week as well. But the unemployment rate right now is 4%. So if the unemployment rate is still low, then we've got nothing to worry about. Layoffs are always going to happen. We're coming close towards the tax season. So companies are going to be readjusting their portfolios just to really put themselves in a good position when it comes to paying their taxes as such and encouraging investors to want to invest in them even more. However, check this out. See this chart? You guys look at this and think, what the hell does that mean? What it shows you is between September 19 and July 20, resident net purchases of foreign long-term debt securities. When it's up, you can see right here, there's a lot. Happy days. So it shows you that Japanese companies, institutional fund managers, what are they doing? They're buying foreign debt. And what is foreign debt? Well, the only foreign debt you want to get involved in is really the US. Now let's just jump forward from January 2024 to the current date, January 2025. What's been going on? I ain't seeing that much debt being picked up anymore. Looks like there's quite a few outflows coming into play. Why would Japan be offloading? Well, we know they're offloading because look, this is it. The blue line is Japan. They are the largest holder of US debt. And you've got the UK nearly crossing China over. They're getting rid of US debt. Why are they getting rid of US debt? Is the US debt not the safest thing to get involved in? Why would they be doing that? Where would they be putting their money? Check this out. If Japan are offloading on US debt, where do you think it's going? It's going back into their currency. Check this out. The Japanese yen right now is trading at 0.0066975. Irrelevant. It's trending. It's moving up nicely from the lows. So it's like a slow bleed. Investors are slowly trying to take everything off the table, get rid of dollar exposure and put it into the Japanese yen. Now think about it. If we go and have a look at the risk on sentiment, we can see it says risk on, risk off, right? What's it showing you? Well, risk is starting to come off right now. It's crossed this black dashed line right here, and it's showing us that investors are starting to claw back some profits. Are they? Well, if we go into Friday's activity, this is what makes me laugh, okay? This drop to the downside in the NASDAQ effectively created the drop in cryptocurrency. No, it was the hack. Guys, it was the hack that caused Bitcoin and Ethereum and Solana to drop. They stole $1.4 billion worth of Ethereum. Oh my God. The chaos has unfolded. Well, according to Bybit right here, they're actually recovering some of it. Not too much of it, because it did say over here, wait, we'll go to that in a second. But it did say here they've recovered an effort to lead to the freezing of $42 million, man. Yeah, man. They're doing great. Happy days. 1.4 billion. All right. Now, obviously, we've got a lot of people behind this story trying to support it and get this money back. But 42 million, all right, when you see a title, it covers ETH loss after 1.4 billion back. In light writing, just below it, the exchange has pledged a reward of up to 10% of the recovered funds. Never mind. Going back into this story over here regarding the Japanese yen. If the Japanese yen is starting to climb up, then that would effectively mean that the dollar is going to go down. Principally, you'd expect the euro to be climbing up in that instance, okay? So why did cryptocurrency drop? Well, it dropped because investors' expectations that the market ain't looking too good. Risk off is suggesting that maybe, where is it? Investors are starting to claw back their earnings. Okay, they're going to start taking profits off the table. Maybe things are starting to change, right? Because if the yen goes up against the US dollar, that means they're getting rid of dollars to put it into the Japanese yen. But if they're getting rid of their 10-year bond holdings of the US, does that not mean it's bad news for the bond market? Well, go over to the bonds market. You can see that's doing very well. Still trading high. 101, if anything. What are the yields doing? Well, the yields are technically trading positive for the day at 4.2% on the 2-year. And of course, on the 10-year, you've got yourself 4.4%. All right. When the yields are high, the bonds are low. When the yields are low, the bonds are high. Why? Because that tells you that investors are seeking risk, and that's low risk. So if the yields are down, it means investors are going into the bonds. So naturally, when the government is advertising 4.4% on the 10-year, and you're seeing the bonds going up, it means that investors are taking on yield. They're looking to lock in yield. Now, let's just really understand where the money's going. Over here, we've got the ETFs. And as it stands right now, in the last 30 days, because I've selected the 30-day net cash inflow of ETFs. And this is what we've got. We've got the Vanguard ETF, which will always be up there. Investors will always go into the Vanguard ETF. And then you've got this Detroit Street, Trust, Janus, Henderson, AAA, fixed income type, international corporate ETF. Then you've got the bonds one. You've got the iShares 0 to 3 months expiry Treasury bond ETF. So that's a BlackRock product, okay? Then you've got the Vanguard Total Stock Market. And then, of course, we go down again. You've got Ultra Short Income ETF. So investors and Gold Shares ETF. And we go down a bit more. You've got more aggregated bonds. So it looks like they're split between bonds and, of course, the stock market. So that means, ultimately, if the yields go down and the bonds markets are going up, we logically assume that the NASDAQ is going to start making a move up because investors are seeking low risk and high risk at the same time. But if risk is being taken off, then it kind of makes you think, hold on a second, what's money really doing? Is it just rotating? Are they going back into dollars? Well, we can't really assume they're going back into dollars because the dollar is not really doing anything right now, but we don't really have anything in the marketplace to suggest that that's the case. There's no real data coming out today or tomorrow. We've had a Japanese bank holiday, which pretty much keeps things pretty tight. The Asian session ranges have been formed. If we go over to Bitcoin, you can see Bitcoin hasn't really gone anywhere. It's not doing anything. But of course, strategy buying $2 billion worth of convertible, offering you guys to pay for their Bitcoin. And then they've, what is it? 20,000? That's it. They've acquired 20,000 Bitcoins at an average price of $97,514. That is wonderful. Congratulations, ladies and gentlemen. You've just paid. And these guys are sat on unrealized gains. So technically, they haven't earned nothing off holding Bitcoin. Paper-wise, these guys are bloody wealthy and rich. But they ain't realizing absolutely anything if they're just letting it float about. With that being said, I want to draw your attention to the ETF. We've had a couple of thousand transactions, not 1,000 transactions, but we've had some take off the actual ETF. It was at 586,000. It's now currently at 584,000. I was having a conversation this morning with Mike, okay? We got onto the topic about, well, we got onto two topics. The first topic is, which I really want to hear your opinion on. Is a cold wallet really safe? Is it the safest way to store your crypto? Are you really not subject to possible complications with the cold wallet? I'd like to know your opinion on that. Yeah, I'd really want to know your opinion on that because we come up with an opinion. I really want to know yours. But you've got this ETF story right here. Around 55% of the world's largest banks are involved in Bitcoin and other digital currencies. Some of the banks have invested in Bitcoin. That include JP Morgan. It holds $200 million in Bitcoin ETFs. Morgan Stanley owns $270 million in the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. Goldman Sachs offers Bitcoin and Ethereum derivatives to clients. BlackRock has integrated digital assets into its Aladdin platform, but just to put it out there, currently in management of 584,000 Bitcoin ETFs. And then we've got Standard & Chartered has invested in cryptocurrencies, including blockchain network Ripple. What does this show you? None of them hold Bitcoin. They don't. They earn off it. Which makes you question, hold on a second, so why is Bitcoin going sideways? Well, I had this conversation this morning, and it's one of those ones. Do you think there is this ploy with regards to the ETF? Because we all know, like, look, let me explain something. I bought this ETF, okay? This ETF right here is something, a few ETFs that I've got going off. I've invested 10 grand, and I've played it into the bond ETF market, okay? Go away. And I'm distributing it across Vanguard Dividend Appreciation ETF, Total Bond Market ETF, and Real Estate ETF, and the Technological Sector ETF itself. And that's only because we're coming up to the NVDA earnings soon. So if you guys are new and you're not really taking advantage of the NVIDIA earnings call, get yourself over to BTCC. It's in the description of this live stream because you can actually trade NVIDIA. You can trade Forex and you can trade NVIDIA and Microsoft. You can trade all those assets and the NASDAQ at the same time trading cryptocurrency, all right? It's a great platform to hedge yourself because if Bitcoin goes nowhere like it has done over the last few weeks or so, you can exploit movement in the NASDAQ because the NASDAQ actually goes on a crazy one. It moves up and it moves down. There's no time to sit around waiting for someone to buy Bitcoin. So if you do that, you can trade BTC, trade with BTCC, and you'll get the benefit of trading NVIDIA. Down here, it's NVDA, where you can trade it and prepare yourself for the news call, okay? But it's all done on one platform where you don't need VPN or KYC if you're from the United States. So get involved in that and check that out. But let me explain something. With my ETF that I've got here, I invested 10 grand. Now I'm in a nice little profit of $282. That's not true. Because when I invested this 10 grand, over here at the bottom, it says total available cash. It was in a drawdown. Why? Because they're picking up fees for me holding these ETFs, okay? Fundamentally, right? That's exactly what's going on over here. So the question grants, all these dudes, none of them are holding Bitcoin because they're not allowed to because they're a bank in principle. But they're very involved in the transactional process of someone wanting to show interest in buying Bitcoin. So right now, you've got institutional investors and everyone coming in and buying the Bitcoin ETF. Currently, the price of the Bitcoin ETF comes in at roughly where we at, Bitcoin ETF? $53.92. Not bad. So you've got a gang load of people right here that are holding an ETF and they are being charged fees. So you've got this thing right now. You've got the biggest advocate of cryptocurrency. Hold your Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin. Any coin outside of Bitcoin is a meme coin. And we coined that. Fits, doesn't it? Coined it, meme coin. Anyways, you've got the biggest dude in the space. He's buying it and buying it and buying it. What does that mean to you? That means you're holding on to it, okay? Because you've got a belief and expectation price is going to go up. It's going to go up because you know, strategy is buying lots of Bitcoin, right? Okay, cool. Then you've got the dudes right here who are buying up the Bitcoin ETF because they don't want the actual exposure of the Bitcoin. So you are presented with two people. You've got the person that's buying Bitcoin because he believes Bitcoin is the future. It's the way, happy days. And he is subject to volatility in Bitcoin's price. It goes up, it goes down. Fundamentally, he holds his Bitcoin to himself. You know, not your keys, not your coin. Goes back to the idea of what a cold wallet is. But we'll get to that another time. Then you got the other guy who doesn't want to get involved in Bitcoin, or he can't get involved in Bitcoin, but has the alternative option of buying the Bitcoin ETF. What is he slapped with? Well, he's slapped with the price volatility of the ETF and the Bitcoin, and of course the fees that come into play with it. So now we've got this story where Bitcoin previously was consolidating because people were buying and selling it. Now you've got the story of Bitcoin ETF coming into play where price is going up and down. BlackRock is buying it. Well, BlackRock is buying it on behalf of clients. There's lots of people showing interest in Bitcoin and all they're doing is earning flipping fees. So, grants the question again. JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, they're all offering you guys the option to buy the Bitcoin ETF and they're earning the fees behind it. So is Bitcoin's price being really suppressed for the benefit of this ETF? Because quite frankly, guys, this Bitcoin balance right here has been subject to quite a few price swings, yet it hasn't gone anywhere but up. So you've got a lot of endorsement of the ETF itself. And in that time, people are just paying fees and fees and fees because sailor boys, okay, are going on the idea, sailor is just advocating buy Bitcoin and hold it. The same people who are buying the Bitcoin ETF are coming to articles like this, seeing that, and then making themselves believe they need to hold the ETF, which is why this balance isn't dropping that much. And then you've got the guys who are buying the Bitcoin like, that's it, Bitcoin supply shock, Bitcoin's going to go to 100K, whatever price they want it to go to. Fundamentally, what I'm trying to say to you all is this. It's a money heist. BlackRock holds around $10 million in Bitcoin, but it's in management of 584,000 of it in terms of the ETF. Is that not... You'd think it was a big endorsement. Well, how much Bitcoin has BlackRock gone out and purchased? It's only about 10 million from what I remember. So what I'm trying to say to you all is this. The reason why Bitcoin and cryptocurrency ain't going nowhere is because all that money And all the hope and belief that it's going to go higher is keeping this ETF price high. It's keeping Bitcoin price high, and the fees are just draining you all. The best way to explain the ETF to someone is no different to you when you're trading Bitcoin with leverage. There's the funding rates. That's all it is. Now, some of you might not like the idea of that, but how many of you hold Bitcoin with the expectation of it going higher? How many of you hold the Bitcoin ETF because you don't want to buy Bitcoin itself because it's too volatile? All right? Or you're holding on to it because you see that balance right there, it still stays high. Whilst that balance stays high, those fees keep on getting racked up and racked up. If you go back to the earnings call of JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs, most of their earnings were generated from trading activities. That means when you buy and sell, they earn. You keep buying and selling, and you go to articles across the board and like, oh my God, we've got this transaction happening. You got Apple doing this. I'm going to go and invest in Apple right now because they're going to invest $500 billion in the US. That is surely going to generate a return. I'm going to go pick up some Apple shares. That's the logic, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? And that's the logic we go with. That's my belief of what's going on with regards to this ETF story. Now, let's just get into a little bit of price action because the market will be opening very, very shortly. Bitcoin price action right now at $95,444. Going into the order flow, we can see we've had some interesting bouts of accumulation. So let's just do this right. If MicroStrategy has purchased 20,356 Bitcoins at an average price of... So we'll just go into the order flow a second just to look at what these orders are. So this is a perpetual order. So this is a leverage trade, okay? So we've got an order down here that was picked up, 28,560,000, all right, on Bitcoin perpetual, okay? So we seem to be seeing this 28 million popping up every now and then. And I've said it, it could be part of a big iceberg order. When you zoom out on this, you can see that you've got this sideways action and there is a lot of accumulation occurring. You had this big order over here of 25 million at 95,000. And you got that order then a minute ago, about 28 million. There was a $40 million order that was taken on Friday. Okay, $40 million, that's a lot, 8.4 million as well. So what we're looking for in essence is the moment that the market is going to say, you know what, we need to start offering higher so that we need to see price going up. We've got 50 million at 96,188. Now, let me explain something to you why I believe that everyone in cryptocurrency or playing cryptocurrency is short term and that they don't believe that Bitcoin's price principally could be going higher in the future. If you're selling $50 million worth of Bitcoin so close to this price point, it tells me that the participants who have been buying in these ranges, look, you got 25 million down there, and then you had earlier on a guy picking up 28 million, and we had 40 million around here as well. If they're selling so soon, like, why? Don't you think Bitcoin's going to be going higher? Yeah? And that's what I'm seeing here. I'm seeing the fact that there are people trying to offer Bitcoin sooner rather than later. You go up higher here, you got 615,000. Go over the top side right there, you got 5 million. Where do I see a big fat order to sell Bitcoin? 28 million at 100,000. That's been in there for absolutely days. Going up even further. We got any more? No, not really. Don't have anything interesting. Going up here, 10 million. And then we go all the way up here. You got 16 million at 105,000. You got a big order right, not even big order, 500,000 up there. And then another order right here, 4 million. And that's when we're going into the 108s towards the all-time highs. 4.5 million at the all-time high region. And you got 37 million at 110,000. Sorry, yeah, 110,000. Okay? So what's the story? Where is Bitcoin going to end up? And like I said, the only thing that's going to make Bitcoin really move up is stories on the Bitcoin reserve, any sovereign fund coming into play, picking it up, supply shocks, and all that fun and games. The Bybit hack, what's it done? I mean, if we go over to this right here, you can see that we've seen Binance wants to sell quite a bit of Ethereum, which is 12.5K and 34 million in the last few hours. Well, let's just look at that. Let's just, hold on a second. If we just go over to Ethereum order flow, okay? Just to understand the logic of how much that really is. Is 34 million a lot in terms of price action for Ethereum on the blockchain? Well, let's just zoom out a second and have a look. Right, so you've had all this here. 1.65 million right there, 7 million transacted right there, and you got 21 million right there. Okay, so just that little difference in price. 2,760 Ethereum. You've got 7.2 million traded. And then you've got this one here, 21 million traded at 2,750. Go down a bit more. You've got another 4 million at 2,730. Go down even here. You've got 3.56 million right there. So when you see an article like that and you think to yourself, breaking 34 million in the last 4 hours, do they know something? They're just taking money off the table. There's nothing too sinister about it, okay? What's so sinister about selling it? Look at how much it actually moved. It's not really done. If anything, when price was going down, right, that's when they were buying this. These bids have been picked up. So are they going to be selling it as it's going low? Or are they going to be selling it as it goes up? Because I'd want to sell as its price is going. I'm going to average down. Got an order up here for 1 million. Going to Ethereum up here, not seeing anything significant. Got 1.7 million up there at 271. 5 million right there again at 2718. Keep going. 5 million again at 2734. 5 million again at 2746. That could be part of iceberg order. It could be that. So 7 orders at 5 million could equate to that amount for Binance, given that these orders are coming through Binance, Ethereum, Perpetual. Maybe. It's all speculation, ladies and gentlemen. We know nothing. All right. We can only make the guesstimates on what the behavior is going to be. But fundamentally, when you see articles like that, and everyone was talking about it, Binance dumping, Binance this, look, everyone's losing and wetting the bed because 34 million has been sold in the last few hours. That is nothing. All right, the $1.4 billion hack, and now they're making a big song and dance about recovering only 42 million of it. Shut up, man. Doesn't make sense, but since when does crypto ever make sense? With that being said, any questions, ladies and gentlemen? And MicroStrategy's cost basis is 97,000. That's it. It's coming in at 97,504. No, sorry. I think it was at 67,000. So here we go. So as of the February the 23rd, the company hodled 499,096 Bitcoin acquired for 33.1 billion at an average price of $66,357 per Bitcoin. Interesting. Let's just go into strategies. Let's see if they've updated the ticker symbol itself. MSTR. Let's have a look at that. MicroStrategy. Where are... P&L. That is shocking. Yeah, volume is pulling back a little bit. But remember, anyone that's buying that convertible bond at the current price levels need to be doubled for you to make a return. So you need MicroStrategy to be around $600 a share for you to make a return on that convertible bond purchase as such. But, I mean, not looking good, ladies and gentlemen. MicroStrategy is turning over, but volume is relatively light across the board on the sell-off. NASDAQ is behaving like an absolute nut job. Quickly going over into that. Let's have a look. Let's have a look at NASDAQ. It's doing crazy, sticking inside of this range, which is what I'm normally expecting. Going into the volatility index itself, you can see that is marking up ever so slightly. This is the 1 hour time frame. Remember, when it's high, you buy. So they're probably just trying to hedge themselves a little bit more. The NASDAQ looks like it is going to be gunning for areas of liquidity. We got a big order flow represented move down at the 21,710. Bitcoin is sort of following suit alongside that. But this is an opportunity to pick up the bids. Usually when the market behaves right now, which is at the open, just having a look at some shares. Let's have a look at Apple. Apple has effectively not even gapped up as such. Yeah, it's not really gapped up. Just have a look at this. Yeah, it's actually moving up quite a bit. The bids are coming in on the NASDAQ, which is expected. Now the offers are coming out. So that's pretty much very interesting behavior. What's going on with this stuff right here, man? My screen's not working correctly. Anyways, any questions? Any questions, guys? I've not seen Camel Base. No, I think it's not even an exchange, bro. Don't even talk wet to me, please. Is Apple share price? Camel, man. Gold pulling back quite nicely as well. That's decent right there. Just going into NVIDIA itself up to, look at that, man. I'm telling you, look at it. They're not stopping buying this thing. It's been at its all-time highs for quite some time. It's been at the highest range for such a long time, and you can't complain about this asset, man. There's something brewing with NVIDIA, guys. Absolutely madness. Yeah. And Bitcoin just basing out. You know what? Out of the two guys, you know, Ethereum and Bitcoin, it's Ethereum is down only 6%, well, 4.9%. It's not done too well, but crypto, man, it's being manipulated left, right, and center. XRP, same story. Solana, 5%. It's just an absolute joke, guys. Absolute joke. Anyways, any other questions, guys? Maybe it's the Camel Toe Exchange. Never mind. I was looking at the hybrid system in Forex and it looks so clear. Listen, the hybrid system benefit is in Forex itself. And if you haven't done so, take the free course because it breaks it all down for you. That's in the description of this live stream. Take it, man. It's free of charge. Just do it because it just breaks down everything for you. And then when you want to take it a little bit further, become a platinum member and you get access to these PDFs which are all about the hybrid system, from V-shaped reversals and what have you. You know, scaling in the block trade principle and the Brinks box strategy itself, a whole PDF on that bad boy, 15 pages where I break it all down for the guys anyways, and you get access to a Discord too. All right. Any questions, guys? What would happen if we get lower CPI next time? Would this mean for the USDJPY? Well, banks have actually got USDJPY coming down over the next few months, but it's all, you've got to remember, the appreciation of the dollar right now is relatively high. Well, 6%, 6.26%. If dollar's appreciation keeps on marking up and inflation still becomes a bit of a problem, then it's dollar yen itself is going to be forced by the Japanese to actually, that's why I think this could be happening. The Japanese right now are offloading in US debt so that they can accumulate enough so that they can then do a Forex intervention and buy loads of dollars to force dollar yen down. Sorry, to get rid of dollars, okay? So deflate the value of dollar against the yen, okay? That's what I think could be happening right now. But of course, if Trump starts talking about good things regarding the dollar, dollar is going to be going up against the yen. But you're seeing dollar moving up and you are seeing the yen moving up too, okay? So they are moving up in principle together. But it's when they decide to actually cut their interest or increase their interest rates, because Japanese economic activity is starting to do really, really well. They can't sustain these yields. Look, like 1.422%. Nah, man. That's not good for them. They can't sustain these sort of levels. So they have to do something. They have to force everyone into the Japanese bonds to bring down that yield, converting all their actual assets, getting rid of US debt and plowing it into the Japanese 10-year to bring the value of the 10-year bonds up to then, of course, drop down the yield and the return that they have to pay investors for holding Japanese bonds. They need this to go down, because if it's not going down, then increasing the interest rates are naturally going to be forcing that principle. But that does increase the yields. But investors are going to want to try and lock in yields now, because there could be an expectation that they might not increase interest rates. But all you got to do is just watch out for the Japanese yen. When that shoots up and the euro shoots up and the 10-year bonds market shoots up, everything else against it, as in the NASDAQ, the S&P, Bitcoin, everything's going to go down. But currency assets like euro against the dollar, GBP against the US dollar, and yen against the US dollar, they will all fly up, and the 10-year bonds market will fly up, which is exactly what I'm expecting, which is why I'm playing this ETF bond market play for my just for myself right here. Okay, cool. With that being said, how are you today? I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm very good. Mad love to you. Tino's perspective on XRP. My perspective on XRP. Look, guys, if I talk about Bitcoin, XRP is probably going to do the same thing, unless someone talks about a court case or someone says that XRP is in the future. All right. Talk about Solana, it's getting smacked left, right, and center. Talk about Ethereum, it's got a big hack coming into play, which had done nothing to Ethereum. And then Binance is getting rid of some Ethereum right now. Oh, scary, scary. Never mind. Price is exactly in the same spot. But if it does collapse, it collapses. Never mind. But looking at cryptocurrency overall, guys, I mean, you just go over to the bigger thing. $3.14 trillion market cap. Where's the altcoins? That's a question. Where's my altcoin gang at? Yeah, your Bitcoin. Well, I said to you all, like, this thing is going to keep going up. Bitcoin dominance is going to go up again, and it's going to come back and recover this wick. Wait for it to get to 64.30. And if you aren't a subscriber, make sure you do subscribe so you can see it when it gets back up to 64.30 again. I'm sorry. Any coin outside of Bitcoin is a meme coin. You give me whatever project you want, ladies and gentlemen. Why ain't it going up? No one's selling their Bitcoin to put into an altcoin. I don't care what anyone says. Welcome back. Mad love and respect, guys, and I'll be tuning into you all later on. Peace.